In this video I'm going to show you a Python application that is interacting with Azure Blob, which is the object storage service in Azure. Now I'm going to show you this slide first, the explanation, and then I'm going to show you a demo of this app actually working. So check out this diagram. This is how it's set up. I've got a Linux VM, and inside I've got a Python application, and this application, we're going to go through the code. It's using the SDK to make API calls to Azure and to interact with this blob. What it's actually doing is it's actually fetching an image from elsewhere. I didn't draw that arrow, and then putting those images, uploading them into Azure Blob storage. Then it's serving a web page, which is basically going to be a list of all these images you're going to be able to see in this web page. And from this web page, there are direct blob links to here. This is a pretty common pattern. Yes, we could relay the images through the app, but it's not unusual to see direct blob links, and this is perfectly possible. Azure Blob sits in something in Azure called a storage account. It's different to AWS S3 buckets, which are their own thing. In Azure you have a storage account. You can put blobs, i.e. object storage. You can also put tables. You can put file storage. So it's quite a mix. That's what makes Azure quite unique. Now what I've already done, I've created an Azure VM with a public IP address, and this is like the firewall type, well, not firewall, but kind of like an old school firewall, NSG, Network Security Group. I've allowed inbound ports 22 because we have to SSH into the machine, and also port 5000. This is a hint, we're going to be serving the website on this port because we're using Flask. Could change the port number, but whatever. It's got the Ubuntu OS, and I've installed Python 3 pip because we need to install some packages. So let's go take a look. So here I am on the virtual machine, got a directory called Python app. Here's a full listing including subdirectories. So we've got app.py, requirements.txt, and templates, within which we've got index.html. Let's take a look at all of them. We're going to start with app.py. And by the way, I asked AI to create this for me. I gave it my requirements and it came up with this. So I customized it obviously, but first of all it's importing a number of libraries. I'll show you that under requirements, but basically it's this and also Flask. So this is pretty standard for a Flask app. So we do have some variables to set. At the moment they're not populated, but I will be putting values in there before we go ahead and run the app. And this is initializing the blob service client. This is very typical what you're going to see in any cloud SDK. You usually have to initialize a client that's related to the service. And then here we got app root on slash. So this is now the Flask. Let's have a look here. And what is it doing here? It's actually going through here and creating an array, and this will end up being a list of dictionary with the blob name and the URL. So this is actually, as a clue, what's going to be in our website, and then it returns this template. So we're going to check that template to see what happens with that dictionary. And there's also a separate function. So that function there was for the Flask, the root of the website. And then here is a separate function, and this is to upload. So what's happening here is, and forget the else because that's just the exception, just look at the try, is going to try and download the image from the URL that I provide, and if it gets a success code, then first of all it's going to assemble a timestamp. From that timestamp it's going to construct a file name, and then here it's going to use again blob client to upload a blob based on that file that it downloaded. One important thing here that I had to do was this part here, content settings. Content type is image/JPEG. Otherwise you'll end up with this like octet stream, and if you get that, then every time you click on the URL on the web page, it'll try to download it, prompt you to save as, instead of loading the image in the browser. So that's something you have to be aware of, the HTTP header, when you're using blob storage, that you need to do this, and it will save this as metadata and know how to best deliver the blob to you if you later on request it. And then finally down here is something pretty standard with serving Flask. This here is going to say it's going to serve it on port 5000. So that's the main Python code. Now just by way of confirmation, let's look at the requirements.txt. and you can see here Flask, Azure Storage Blob, and requests. I mean, you could have worked that out from the Python code anyway. I've already done this. I've done the pip install. And finally, this is the template file, and it's pretty simple, just some style stuff at the top. But the main thing is here is for filing files. So remember, that was the dictionary that we had, rather the list of dict that we had from the Python code. So it's referred to here, and this is where it's going to grab. It's gonna show the file name. That was the first element, and the second element was the URL, and it's just going to be a file listing of what's in our blob. So let's run the Python app. Obviously you should have this as a proper service if it's intended to be permanent. This is just for demo, so we're going to run this python3 app.py, and there you go. It's serving the Flask app. It's also uploaded the first image already. You can see the timestamp there. So let's go look at the website. And so this is the website here, and there you go. You can already see that first image. So I'm going to pause the video here. We're going to wait for the next one to be uploaded. So by now the second one should have been uploaded. So what I'm going to do is refresh the page, and there we go. We can see the second one. So I've set it in the app to grab this image and upload it into blob storage once every minute. So that's why we waited a minute. If we keep waiting, we'll just get one more, etc. till we have a huge list of them. It's basically a directory listing of the blob storage. And if I click on any of these links, which I won't because I don't own the rights to the images, it will open a new tab and you'll be able to see the image. So pretty cool. But yeah, if you didn't understand this image in the first place, I think you can now. So just to run through it again, the Python app sitting inside a Linux VM, making an API call to the Azure cloud via the SDK, and uploading images that it actually grabbed from somewhere else as a blob. Meanwhile, serving the web page constantly. So this is only every once a minute, but this is on demand whenever the client demands it. And as this page updates, then it's going to get also from here have direct blob links, and it can just go direct to here to get those images, and that's how it works. And although we performed this on Azure, there's no reason you can't also do this on AWS with buckets or GCP with buckets. The principle is very much the same. It's not much different at all. And also, although this is inside a Linux VM, it could easily be inside a container running on Kubernetes. It could be in a Windows VM. The app doesn't have to be Python. It could be any of the popular runtimes that have an SDK, TypeScript, whatever, .NET Core, something like that. Really doesn't matter. From the user perspective, they really don't care what's running behind the scenes. It's down to you and your business and technical requirements. So this is a standard kind of pattern that you will see repeated possibly millions of times over the internet by different websites serving different things. So pretty simple but interesting use case, I think. Let me know what you thought about this. If you got any questions, and also let me know, and I will see you again soon. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Take care. Bye bye.